Oi, Billy! Oscar! Dave! Get up! Francene Marie show's on!
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Have you ever heard of an artist by the name of Elizabeth Cotten? She spells Cotten, Cotten. Now, Elizabeth was born January 5th, 1893, and passed away June 29th, 1987. Well, here's the deal. The Department of Natural and Cultural Resources Secretary Susie Hamilton announced the 2019 North Carolina Hall of Fame inductees, and Miss Elizabeth Cotten is in there. The inductees this year are Elizabeth Cotten, Ninth Wonder, Merle Watson, Mitch Esther, and Big Daddy Kane. But let's talk about Miss Cotten. A lot of folks called her Elizabeth Libba Cotten. She was a folk musician, singer, and songwriter. Now get this, because this is important. A self-taught left-handed guitarist, Cotten developed her own original style because she played the guitar strung for a right-handed player, but played it upside down as she was left-handed. I'll say it again. She played a guitar strung for a right-handed player, but played it upside down as she was a left-handed player. Now, I spoke with her amazing great-grandson, John W. Evans Jr., and he introduced me to the great-grandson of Elizabeth Cotten. And get this, the family of musicians of Elizabeth Cotten will be performing at the North Carolina Hall of Fame inductee ceremony, and that's happening October 17th. So I challenge you to go to YouTube, find out a little bit more about Elizabeth Cotten, because the songs she wrote were so good and popular that other artists were stealing it. And did I leave out that Elizabeth Cotten was African American? Yeah. So finally, the courts awarded Elizabeth Cotten the copyrights to her own song. And that goes on today. So listen to a little bit of Elizabeth Cotten's Shake Sugary. I like this one.
Have a little song, won't take long. Sing it right, once or twice. Oh, out of me, didn't I shake sugary? Everything I got is done in part. Everything I got is done in part. Pawn my watch, pawn my chain, pawn everything that was in my name. Oh, out of me, didn't I shake sugary? Everything I got is done in pawn. Everything I got is done in pawn.
You're listening to the Francene Marie Show. We're popping out for a quick cup of tea, but we'll be right back.
Let's talk about Elizabeth Cotten, also known as Libba. She was born in 1893 and died in 1987. Was American blues and folk musician, singer, and songwriter. She taught left-handed guitarist. She's a left-handed guitarist. And guess what? Today we have got her great-grandson, John W. Evans Jr.
Good morning.
Good morning. What a wonderful grandmother.
Thank you. She was really that. I lived with her.
Awesome.
I lived with her until I was about 16 years old.
Okay, got it.
So she raised my sister and I. My sister sang with her on Shake Sugary, which came out in 1964, and performed with her at Newport Folk Festival.
So folks born back in the day, right?
Yes.
Which was my grandmother, they didn't have birth certificates.
They did not.
I'm like, what's up with that?
Well, most of us were born at home, so there were no birth certificates. When she became popular and needed a passport, the governor of North Carolina had to give her special dispensation to be able to get a passport to leave the country.
Got it. And she was born from Chapel Hill or
Carborough.
Or Carborough.
Right. She was born in Chapel Hill. There was no Carborough when she was born. Carborough was not incorporated until 1911. And Granny changed her age many times. So she made herself younger because she said no one wanted to hire an old woman. So she continually took 10 years off of her life Instead of adding 10, she subtract 10. So my estimation is that Granny was about 103 or 4 when she passed away. So, and this cannot be corroborated because the only evidence of her being born at all was the census. And as you know, Francine, in those days, it didn't really matter. The census taker in a black neighborhood would come and say, how many kids do you have and how old are they? Or they look at the child and guesstimate how old the child was.
Oh, my goodness.
So, our numbers were always skewed that way.
Your granny's like me. I do take 10 years off.
Well, if you take 10 years off, you must be about 18.
Oh, he's so kind. You know who that is. That is the grandson of the amazing Elizabeth Cotten, who's going to be inducted into the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. And that is happening on October the 17th.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
It really is. And she loved North Carolina.
Did you have to push for this to happen, or does the committee kind of look around and see what musicians? Because we got a lot of musicians from North Carolina.
Yes, absolutely, and there are many who've been inducted already. Our only question was why it took so long for her to get in. There are others whose careers are shorter, whose accomplishments are not quite up to par with hers. Not taking anything away from their greatness, but recognizing that she was a trendsetter in music in North Carolina.
So since you are the great-grandson of Elizabeth Cotten, she's got great-greats, right? Great-greats.
Yes.
Are they in the music business too?
Well, my sons are, yes. They two of them have a group called Brody and Chach, and they perform rap and hip-hop music. Their music is always upbeat. It's not about sexual promiscuity. It's not about, there's nothing misogynistic in their music. It's all about having fun, like rap used to be when it was really about having a good time, rather than what became gangster rap and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, it was it became a little demeaning.
Yes.
But it wasn't until we as women said, that's demeaning.
That's enough. Absolutely.
That is enough.
Yes.
So tell us about her career. So she played a guitar upside down.
And backwards.
Yes,
which means almost like mirror playing. So pictures of her, people would correct the picture because they thought she was right-handed and someone took the picture wrong. But she was actually left-handed. So she learned to play banjo first, and she learned to play it flat on the floor. Her brother had a banjo when she was a little girl. So she would pluck the banjo. He'd say, "Little sis, leave my banjo alone." And he'd ask his mother, "Mom, make her leave my banjo alone. She's going to break it or something." And sure enough, when he got home from work one day, she'd run up the strings. She used to just turn them as far as she could, and she popped his banjo strings. And he was really angry with her, but she was a little girl in the family. She was the baby, so no one was ever really angry with her. So he taught her as much as he could, but no one could teach her how to play because of the difference.
Exactly.
So her bass strings are opposite. She played the melody with her thumb as opposed to playing the bass with her thumb. And she played the bass lines with her fingers, which is a totally different melodic sound, even though people can still play her songs, but she has a different timbre and tremolo to her songs when she plays them.
I bet it sounds softer.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Because when you hear the banjo, it's like, it's very profound.
Very tinny, yeah. Very loud instrument, pretty much.
And she wrote the music.
Yes.
And sang.
Yes.
So you mentioned the song...
Shake Sugary.
Shake Sugary.
Shake Sugary. Shake.
Shake Sugary.
Yes.
Shake Sugary.
Yes.
That's a catchy name.
It is.
Yeah.
It was about a person who got down in their luck and began to pawn everything. Very much like what's happening in our country today. If you go out to California and L.A., people are living in tents on bridges and under bridges. Here in Charlotte, we have some of that too. So it's a shame to see that. And it crosses racial boundaries. So it's not just all one ethnic group or two ethnic groups. It's all ethnic groups. And it breaks my heart to see that. But even back then, when she wrote this song, it was about people who've fallen on their luck and had to pawn everything. One line in the song is, I pawn my watch. horse and chain, pawned everything that was in my name. Oh Lord, of me did not shake sugaree. Everything I've got is done in pawn. So this person ends up pawning everything. And at the end of the song, the person says, I ain't got nothing. And in the vernacular, of course, I don't have anything left. And there are many people facing those situations in our country today.
With Elizabeth being born in 1893, who gave her her break? Because back then it wasn't very popular for African Americans to be on the circuit playing.
Especially women.
Oh, especially women.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she played until she got married. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Francine, the date of her birth, I'll move back. I'll be generous and say 15 years. But once she got married and got into a church, they told her she couldn't play blues music, worldly music anymore. So she stopped playing out, but she always played at home. My mother and my grandmother always made sure she always had a guitar. So the mythology of Elizabeth Cotten is that she was discovered by the Seeger family in Washington. She worked for them in the 40s up until the 60s. And she taught the Seeger children her songs. And Peggy went to England, played a song there, and one night we were at home watching Ed Sullivan like every family did on Sunday. And a little English girl came one named Mary Witzke. And Mary Witzke was singing Freight Train. And Granny said, that's my song. She changed it a little bit, but it was Granny's song. So in 1958 or 57, the Seegers helped pay for her to go to court in New York, copyright court. And the judge asked Miss Witzke a very telling question. He said, have you ever been to the States before you came for the Ed Sullivan show? The answer was no. How did you write a song about a real place? You say you made this song up, but Chapel Hill is a real place. There is a train that runs through Chapel Hill near Elizabeth's home, and there's a Chestnut Street. Now, that's been debated recently. Someone said there's no such place as Chestnut Street. But you and I both know that in these black communities, the names of streets were often changed once gentrification came in, and they changed them. And for poetic license alone, I'd say I'd rather be buried on Chestnut Street than Chesley Street, even if she took poetic license, which I doubt she did.
And Libba won.
Yes, she did. Well, she won after millions had been made on the song. So, Peter, Paul, and Mary sold 1 million copies of the song. Pete Seeger did everybody covered the song prior to this decision the judge made. So it wasn't retroactive. So even though she got some monies, it was nothing compared to the publishing rights that Folkways Records got and other folks.
The music business hasn't changed. Not
much.
Right?
No, that's
People, these record labels will take your firstborn, right?
Yes.
And make sure they work too.
That's right. Take their firstborn. Yeah.
Wow, if you're just now tuning in, it's I have the privilege, the honor of interviewing the grandson, who is John W. Evans Jr., the great grandson of Elizabeth Cotten. And Cotten is spelled Cotten.
Yes, ma'am.
She was unique in every way.
She was, and she was ahead of her time, Francine. She was a woman who owned homes. She took care of our family. She was a matriarch in the truest sense of the word. She made sure that everybody was okay. We all learned to play music. She was a stickler for education. My grandmother went to college and only could get a job doing day work, which means cleaning houses. So, it's been very difficult. I just want to share one little thing with you. My son Jordan, who's 29 years old, is right-handed, but he plays guitar left-handed, just like Granny did, exactly the same way. Self-taught, except there's a guy named Michael Holderman who worked with him, to help him learn how to play. But Michael said it was his privilege to teach Jordan, so he didn't charge him anything. And hopefully he'll be at the induction ceremony on the 17th. But imagine 5 generations, Francine, for someone to come along in our family who plays exactly like her. Martin Guitar Company gave us commemorative guitars in her name, Dreadnought 1800s, which was the size guitar she plays, a little smaller than a regular guitar. But I have 2 sons who are proficient in guitaring, and we'll all be performing at the induction ceremony. And we're the first family of an inductee to perform live for the inductee.
You know she's going to be looking down at you guys. You know that, right? Wow, mark the calendars. It's October the 17th. Has anyone ever visited the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame? It's pretty unique. I wish they were open on Sundays for tours, but I know you can do a private tour.
Yes.
Yeah, all you have to do is just give them a call at 704-934-2320. Because they do the school tours, and I know a couple of friends have gone over there during the week. So I guess the weekday is the thing to do, right? Take off work. go
to the Music Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We got to get a photo together, and you brought your son.
Yes.
And you guys are going to be performing October 17th at this amazing event as they induct your great-grandmother.
Yes, ma'am.
And her name is Elizabeth Cotten. You can go on YouTube now. I did.
Please, yes.
She's a cutie pie. Yeah, I did hear Shake Sugary on YouTube. So she's got Freight Train.
Yes, and that's my sister. My sister sings with her on the original, Brenda Evans. She is an accomplished singer. Now, Brenda Joyce Evans, that was with a group, I forget what group Brenda Joyce, but that's not my sister. My sister's Brenda Diane Evans, who at 12 years old not only sang with Granny, but she sang with Richie Havens. She sang with Jim Webb, who was the musical director for Sonny and Cher. And she also sang with Taj Mahal. So, our family really is connected because of my great-grandmother in the music industry, but none of us really, that wasn't our number one careers. I taught school in Washington. My sister has been with nonprofits, as directing nonprofits for her professional career, and it's just been a privilege for you to allow us to talk with you and your audience about Granny. She was a unique woman.
It's Elizabeth Cotten. She is being inducted into the 2019 North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. That's going to be happening October the 17th. And just go online and go to YouTube, and you can see some of Elizabeth Cotten's music. And I mentioned that her name is spelled Cotten. And take a listen to Shake Sugary. I want to thank our guest today. It is Mr. Amazing himself. It's John W. Evans Jr.
Thank you very much, Francine. My privilege.